Science!
Where you go? This was. We'll work our way backwards. Alex, what do you think you just witnessed?
I watched a man showering himself and then playing the piano on a man's and then putting that man on him and playing.
No. Okay. Chris, would you like to tell us what you think you saw?
I saw a man very sensuously showering, and then realizing he was showering with like a mannequin thing, like hanging off his fingers. And I'm thinking, oh god, I gotta go put some trousers on and run.
No!
Right, that's
Okay.
close.
Jay, what do you think you saw?
I think I observed the original Eureka moment.
Oh my god, it's so hot today.
Come and get ya! Indigenous! Come and get you, indigenous!
Oh, do you have indigenous octopus?
No, we're out of all species of fish life.
Oh, what will I do?
Finning.
Finning must happen.
Not finning.
Yes.
No.
This is an emergency.
Gerald died from finning. He said to me,
Neptune.
He said Neptune. He said Neptune your ears.
My ears are fine. Neptune has not cursed them. Instead, he's poetized them. I'm just hearing poets come out of my ears all this time.
What kind of poets? Chaucer?
Flatulent poets.
They're the best kind.
They smell as well as sound.
Yes.
Like most poets, in fact, I think. Well, you know,
We're gonna have to get some fish from
Chamois.
Chamois. Chamois got a load of fish.
thank
We
God
can get
for
fish
that.
from Chamois.
Thank God for that. I need some for
Propaganda.
to advertise fish. The world of the sea awaits.
Yes. They'll know it's us because we've got fish signs. We're gonna take down those damn
Porn.
Those damn porn people! They're not gonna screw themselves.
Those porn people, they
Frenetic.
frenetically go at it everywhere. It's disgusting.
Have you seen them go at it?
Playmate.
Playmates have, yes. I've seen several of them play in together.
Are you saying you're one of their playmates? Are you saying you're a seat for them?
It's my shameful secret.
I can't believe you're a seat. I would have at least thought you were a seater.
Some people want to be sat on, some people want
Kook.
And you want kook.
I want poop.
But don't blame me. A few years ago I watched some.
Magistrate.
I watched the magistrate. Yeah. Go away.
Was it because of that terrible regulation 46 that we had to?
Yeah, regulation 46. Thou shalt not
Leak.
leak.
It's very difficult not to leak.
I know, especially when you're a playmate and a seat.
I'm sorry, but
Regal.
regal people like us need better markets, better fish, better playmates.
How about this? It's a
Personal.
personal one. It's a personal fish. I found it. It's my fish.
Wow.
My one.
If only I could
Stallion.
stallion. I could just mount on it and just ride into the sunset. Into the sunset over the sea.
You're gonna mount my little personal fish.
It's not that small. It could support us both.
It's not small. It's
Remedy.
a remedy for all the wrongdoings that we've both done in our years before. You being a seat and a playmate, me being a fishmonger with no fish.
We can work this out.
Can we? Can we work it out? Why can't you
French.
French me?
What's my ears? They're so flatulent. I can't hear you. What if we decamp from here?
What are you trying to say?
Travel the world, on the sea, on your fish.
On little Jemima. She's only
Lied.
light. She's not little at all. She's a giant fish.
So we need let's have a relationship between our two characters here.
Possible.
Okay, we have the airline captain and the vice captain, co-pilot in the plane. And what scenario are they dealing with?
Pregnant woman in labour.
A pregnant woman is in labour somewhere in the plane. Take it away.
Captain.
What? Yeah. Yep, that's me.
I've got something on my mind.
What's that?
I think.
Go on. What?
It's just I've never flown before.
Oh, is this your first?
This is my first.
Oh, it's really easy. Like, I'll show you where the controls are. Hang on. This is your joystick.
Wow.
This is. Oh, it's bigger. Oh, you've done this before, haven't you?
Well, my joystick's big, but yours. Why is yours only like
Because I'm the captain, I don't need anything else. Wow, that's got a lot of girth on that.
What can I say? I'm a girthy man.
Oh my god! I just heard something on the radio.
What? I'll check.
What's on the radio?
I'll check while picking up the radio.
Hang on.
Oh, you got one.
I've got one as well, hang on. Oh my god.
I know they lost the game 3-0.
There's a woman pregnant on the plane and she's in labour!
It's not mine, is it?
No! Good God! I'm going to make an emergency landing. I'm going to go over that side there. I'm going to go over that. No? Close enough. I'm going to go over here to make sure you can fly.
It's mine.
It's yours.
This is what caused it.
Oh my God.
She came in to have a look at the cockpit and she got a look at something else.
Oh, that's mean. I'm gonna go back to the controls. Yeah, I'm gonna turn around, and I'm gonna move my legs as well. Yep, there we go. I'm gonna take a little seat, hopefully. Oh, that's right, you help. And I'm gonna. Shh.
No one must know that I gave her the pregnancy stuff. What? That I made her pregnant, I know, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what a man's gotta do to get some money.
She turned you for it.
Well, not yet.
Hang on a second. Only good check. Oh, that's better.
Oh my God, I can hear it to the right.
Really?
Look behind us.
Where?
Behind us.
I will look. Hang on a second. I'm going to put the radio down.
My God, she's giving birth.
I can't look. I can't look.
I'm trained in birthing. I'm gonna birth her.
Okay. I'm going to.
She's behind me.
Is she? Does she need help? Come on.
And here.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming back. I hope you had a drink and managed to cool down a little bit. We're only gonna get hotter in here as we move to the, if you like, the main part of our show, where we will listen to our guest speakers tonight, and then we as a troupe will make a story, get inspired from the talk, and give you something that hasn't been seen ever and will never be seen once after tonight. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Claire Hall. She's a PhD student at Oxford University, and she's come to talk to us about ancient Greeks, I believe. So if you give her a round of applause.
So I've come to talk to you about ancient Greek science. I'm giving some lectures on this at the moment. I've got 4 hours to do it there, and I've got 10 minutes to do it here. So you better be prepared for me to talk really, really fast. No, I'm actually just going to focus on a few examples. So one of the really interesting things about studying science, particularly from a very long time ago, is that you realise just how weird and different it is. The word science, as we kind of think of it in modern day, was really only coined in the 19th century, and prior to that, I suppose you have in the kind of 16th, 17th centuries, you've got Francis Bacon's development of the scientific method, i.e. the process by which you have to come up with a hypothesis, do an experiment, you've got to test things, and things have got to be repeatable for to be scientific results. Now, in ancient Greek times, that wasn't really how it works, and what I'd like to do is just give you a few examples of facets of ancient Greek science which might look kind of familiar as science on the surface, and when you probe into them, you think, hang on, there's a lot of stuff in there that we wouldn't think of as science, but the Greeks did think of as science. So just to kind of give you a picture of how unfamiliar some of it is. So the first example I'd like to talk about is about ancient Greek medicine. There's a lot of work done on this particular set of sites across the Greek world called the Asclepia. And on the surface, they kind of look a bit like hospitals. They're these sites where patients go when they're ill, and they can stay in them overnight, and they're separated out into wards. You have, male and female wards. You have different spaces for people with different diseases, and they practiced a bunch of cures there. They did surgery. They did surgery actually when people were on a kind of anaesthetic, which was actually more like opium. So we have this evidence of people being kind of on opium and having boils drained or whatever. They also had a lot of poultices, natural remedies, but sometimes quite complicated pharmaceuticals made of plants and so on and so forth. So that's, on the surface of it, that seems quite scientific, right? That seems quite similar to a hospital. But the other, and actually all the major doctors of antiquity trained in these places. So you may have heard of Hippocrates. He's the guy who the Hippocratic oath that doctors still take about kind of patient ethics is based on him. There's a really famous doctor called Galen, who I'm going to come back to, and a very unfortunately named doctor called Soranus, who actually didn't work on colorectal disease, he worked on gynecology. Ooh, who knew? These people are trained in these Asclepia. Now, when you begin to look a bit more closely at them, you begin to realise they're actually religious sites. What a patient would do if they were going to the Asclepia is they'd offer a load of sacrifices before they went. There's kind of a precedent of other non-medical temples where people would stay in overnight in order to receive blessings from the gods. And the other things, there were some pretty weird beliefs about what would help in the curing. So in the Asclepia, because snakes were the sign of the god Asclepius, they would allow snakes to just slither around in the dormitories. So you'd be lying there, you know, with your boil or whatever, and snakes are just kind of slithering free around you because they're holy animals. They also had lots of holy dogs on the site, which apparently were allowed free to lick people's wounds, which was meant to help. Yeah, so it kind of seems like a very weird mishmash of beliefs and cures, and some of them we would think of as completely unscientific. But I think for a lot of the Greeks, even for the really serious doctors, that was kind of fine to have that spectrum of different things. And the interesting example when you go a bit later in time, I mentioned this Dr. Galen. Galen was a person who did quite a lot of scientific experiments. So there's this famous bit where he's trying to work out what the relationship of the kidneys to the bladder and the production of urine is. And so he decides he's going to do an experiment, and he does this really gross experiment on a pig where he ties like a ligature around the pig's dick and sees if the pig can still pee, which he can't. And then he says, okay, I'll take that off, I'll ligature the bit between his kidneys and his bladder and see what happens there. No urine. I'll ligature this different. So he does this whole process where he writes it up, and he writes up what he's done to this poor pig in every step. And it looks quite a rigorous scientific experiment, right? He's got a hypothesis, which is the kidneys are essentially in urine production, and then he's tried out different ways of doing it. He's tried kind of, oh, what happens if I do this, but what happens if I change this thing? So he's kind of looking for, you know, possibilities that he's wrong. And at the end he writes it up. But what's really interesting is he doesn't then make the step, which is made in later science, to say, well, this is like a true and certain way to know things. He's very happy in other circumstances to just kind of be quite abstract, to sort of philosophize about things. And it seems like he doesn't feel a sort of compulsion to do experiments in other cases. So, you know, we look at that and we kind of think, hey, great, you got it, man. Like, just do this whenever you do, you know, medicine. But that's not how they're thinking. And it's really interesting to kind of, you know, once you stop trying to make them think like modern people, to be like, what? How come they believe that the sacred snakes are as good as, you know, the poultices? Well, it's an interesting one. And the final example I'd like to talk about that really kind of sums this up is to talk about astronomy and astrology. Now, I did my master's on the history of astrology, and I'd tell people this, and they'd be like, wait, astronomy's the real one and astrology's the bullshit one, right? And it was like, yeah, that's the way around. And also people would, the first question I always got was, what's your star sign? But the interesting thing is, for the Greeks, astronomy and astrology really, really went together, and it totally made sense to believe in astrology. So they lived in, you know, their kind of worldview was that the Earth is at the centre of the universe, you've got the heavens around you, the stars, after Aristotle, people believed that the stars were made of this matter called pneuma, which is this kind of mysterious fifth element, and that was what human souls were made of. And so you can kind of imagine this idea of like action at a distance. The stars are doing stuff up there, that's what our souls are made of. Of course there's going to be some affinity, some effect. It doesn't sound so stupid when that's kind of how you model how the world works. And so astronomy, you know, we look at some of the Greek mathematical astronomy. There was this guy called Eudoxus in the 4th century, who lived about the same time as Plato. He did these incredibly complicated mathematical models, which take into account things like retrograde motion, so when the planets are moving across the sky from east to west, if you look at them, if you take naked eye observation, there's this really annoying thing that you can't explain, where they kind of, sometimes they don't just have a smooth passage across, they do this kind of weird looping back on themselves. And this really bothered the Greeks. They wanted to find out a kind of mathematical model for how can you explain that planets aren't just going in perfect circles around the world, they're, you know, pissing about, going back on themselves. And Eudoxus made this incredibly complicated mathematical model, and you know, on the surface, that looks like science, right? He's saying, how can I look at physical phenomena around me? I've got all this data about what's happening when. How can I make a good mathematical model that fits all the data? And yet, that kind of scientific observation, that astronomy, so on, Ptolemy, the most famous astronomer ever, does an even more complicated model where he's got kind of, you know, things going on, rings around the heavens, but things going on, extra rings round the rings, and it's all super, super complicated and intricate. Ptolemy also wrote his big handbook to how to do astrology, which he takes completely seriously. And so it's one of those things where, you know, some of it looks very familiar, and some of it, when you probe into it, you're like, okay, this is really not what we would think of as science. But yeah, that's kind of about it. But I just wanted to share a few examples with you of kind of how odd science from the past would be. I think that makes it way more interesting than if it was very recognisable. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Claire. I really like that, actually. So, without further ado, I'll let the players start. We'll probably go on until about maybe just after 10:30-ish. So, take away.
Welcome, young man. My name is Soranus. Welcome to the Exclipia.
Thank you.
Exclipia. What seems to be ailing you, son?
Well, the reason I sought you out, dear Soranus,
Yes.
I have the same problem
The problem.
that you have named yourself after.
Soranus.
Yes.
I'm very sorry. Turn around for me for a moment. Dog!
It's incredibly complicated, but I think if I can decipher these numbers, it may explain why I'm not sleeping. Okay. So this grid,
See?
9 numbers
Okay.
in 3 grids and 2 grids there. If I fill out those, what do you think?
Noughts and crosses.
No, it's bigger than noughts and crosses. I'm thinking of giving a name to it. I'll just sign my name there, Pseudocles. We can have a conversation about it with the elders in the forum, or whatever the Greeks call the forum.
Forum, yeah.
Welcome back to Science Through the Ages. Here are our 3 contestants, all the way from Ohio, United States of America. We have Jeffrey Paul.
Hi.
Our next contestant, also all the way from Ohio, America. We have Stephen Danforth.
Why, hello there.
And lastly, we have a man traveling all the way into the future. His future, our present. He has a Greek name. I can't quite pronounce it. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes.
He speaks English.
I learned your language and this wonderful, useful accent. Yes. My name is Plato.
Isn't that fun? You can squeeze it, comes in all sorts of different colors. The first question today is going to be on the history of science, dating all the way back to, Plato, you might recognize this era. It's the Greek era of science shit. Now, this might be one of the categories that you steal. Now, we'll start off with the first question for 200 points. It is, what common household pet today would have been used for licking sores?
God damn it.
That would be. Wow, that would. Wow, that would be mongoose.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect, Mr. Danforth. Anybody else?
Oh, damn it.
Cat.
Cat is wrong as well.
Oh, man.
Thank you for trying and applying yourself. Mr. Plato?
I believe we all had snakes.
Now, it says here at the bottom, snake is a reptilian creature, not quite a mammal, but also had been used for various healing methods. We'll give you that one. All right, our first break.
I found if I tie a string around it, it goes black. All the way down to the toes.
Yeah, that's where you're going wrong. Yeah, such a Virgo.
I'm actually on the cusp.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm on the cusp. So
Oh,
I
you were
thought,
Sagittarius.
I think it's Capricorn.
Oh, I'll do it. Yeah.
So yeah, with my kind of goat-like tendencies, I figured if I tie it off at the knee and then use a stylus to get the earwax out, it should.
Did somebody say stylist?
Not stylus.
Stylus.
Okay.
Oh,
Go back to your loft.
so what am I doing wrong?
Well, you're doing the wrong leg for a start. Which one hurts?
Well, they both do now.
Untie it. Put it on your pinky.
Which one's the pinky?
I wouldn't put it on the pinky. That's kind of a fall style. And we're looking at summer weather, so maybe, how about on your toe?
I hate to say it, he's got a point.
Which toe?
The wedding ring one.
So you're right, Barry. What happened?
What happened to Barry?
He can't pee anymore.
Oh God. What did they do to him? Lilibet, tell me, what did they do?
They ripped him open and tied something around his tubings. Apparently we all have tubings, being pigs.
Is that where the sausage comes from?
Cut to how the sausage is made.
Well, Francis, I am going to use a repeatable method. My hypothesis is that if I open up... There we go. All of the intestines have come out.
Oh, look at
And I think you can stuff that into a sock and boil it and sell it.
That's been how the sausage is made.
So sorry.
Do you want to see how turkey twizzlers made?
Weirdly, yes.
Okay, Bernard. The Twizzler is... Okay, I think if I just open him up here... Okay, he's not making a noise. He's not like the pig, which is good. And, ooh.
For some reason, I thought a turkey twizzler came from a pig.
There's some gnarly bits there, which I think young children could be persuaded to eat with some salt. Yes, I think so. Plenty of salt and
To
some...
mush it together.
I know who would eat this. Vegans! Or Capricorns.
I'm still sorry.
You like the planets like me?
I like a planet.
You like all the planets or
I like 8.
9?
Yeah.
There's 9 planets, we've gone through this.
But one is tiny.
We still counting.
But it's like a big moon.
But we like moons.
Depends on the color.
White.
Why white?
First thing I thought of.
Why is a white moon better than other moons?
Cut to the black moon! Hey! I'm the moon! Yeah, that's right, I'm black! This isn't at all racist! Cut back to the scene.
That's no moon! That's not a moon!
Sorry, that's it. Oh, there is.
That's some other kind of satellite.
Don't. Good God. Oh, it's moving this side. Oh my, look how beautiful in slow motion it is.
It's moving in a weird way. It sort of gets halfway along and kind of doubles back on itself, and then kind of does a sort of moonwalk type thing.
It doesn't do anything like I thought it would.
It's completely crazy.
Oh my.
We need one of those number grid things to work out what's going on. But they're fiendishly difficult for others.
Yes, yes.
What goes in that box there? How can you be so sure?
I'm having a guess. First thing I thought of. Actually, no. Let's go for something else, because the first thing I think of gets me in trouble a lot of the time.
That's as good a methodology as I've ever heard solving these things. Thank you. Yes, you must be a hypocrite. Yes.
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So.
Yeah?
Right.
Oh.
What do you see up there? Right.
I see hope.
Hope.
I see hope and a barrel of laughs.
Yeah. I see Uranus. I'm joking. Mars. 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 Gemini. The crab.
It's the worst date ever.
Look. You found me on Tinder. I didn't want to leave. I was too busy chopping trees, right? Will you hold me?
So,
I'm still thinking.
yes. Are you sure you're Virgo?
I am, Stevens. But
Because we are Gemini.
Yes. Can't you tell by the resemblance?
I could really use a Geminic perspective.
Two heads are better than one.
Yeah.
I've opened up this cadaver.
Oh.
That's what we're going to call them.
Oh.
Why did you tie the...
Good question. Now, I thought perhaps if we isolate one side of the kidney from the other side of the kidney, it wouldn't just start losing blood, but it did.
Sorry. What?
Yeah, snakes.
Snakes?
That's just it, snakes. The kidney.
It looks like a snake.
Yes. Kidneys famously look like snakes.
Stevens, you're looking at the intestine.
Oh, is that? Sorry, I got confused.
Now, is it just me, or could a python fit perfectly inside of this long, rounded object?
I'm afraid the cause of death is pretty clear. Sergeant, he swallowed a python. Or it might have been applied to him.
Swallowed a python, eh?
Yes,
Ah! Oh look! The damn python!
I know. It survived. I'm not quite sure how, but it survived.
Now, is it dangerous?
Only if you're rude to it.
Ooh, potpourri.
You're a charmer, Sergeant.
Yes, yes I am.
What would you say to this snake?
I'll say, hey, how about you and me slide over to something and dislocate your jaw and swallow it up?
That would work. Yes, that would work. Okay. Fetch!
Ah! There we go.
A great way of getting rid of them is to throw a pencil over there and
He's slimy.
it thinks
I
it's
don't know why he's slimy, but he is.
It's just been inside a man's body, Sergeant.
That'd be
That's
why.
it's slimy. But anyway, I've discovered as well that someone got there before the snake. You notice the internal organs are neatly tied up.
Who would have done that?
I'm not sure, but the handwriting on the post-it notes would indicate someone who's left-handed and possibly with a squint. Do you have anyone in your files like that, Sergeant?
I'll have a look. No, can't find anyone. We'll catch the bastard.
And writes in green ink as well.
Oh God, look at my pen. Where's my pen gone?
Here it is, Sergeant.
Oh, thank you. Fucking love green. It's the colour of venom.
Anyway, if you excuse me, my favourite quiz show is on from Ohio. I'm going to have a tea break now.
Ah, have fun.
Da-da-da! We can't afford a band anymore. House bands do it. Da-da-da! Welcome back. Thank you very much, folks. No applause. That's cool. For our second round, we're coming back to a new, familiar topic with a question, oh so ever hard. And we have, of course, our leader in score, Mr. Plato from way back in Greek history. Along with Mr. Danforth and Mr. Jeffries. Now, our next question is going to be for double the points.
I want them.
Don't we all, Mr. Danforth? Don't we all? If we're all ready, hands over the buzzers. Thank you. What is love?
No, Plato. Oh, damn it. Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more. What is love?
I believe that was incorrect. Yes, Mr. Jeffries.
Love is happiness and sadness at the same time. It's anger and hate, but love and justice.
Well, I can tell which side of the state you're from. That's incorrect, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Plato, an answer?
Love is written in the stars. It's astronomy and astrology. It's the two intertwining like a perfect Sudoku. Love is a perfect Sudoku.
In my eyes, that's absolutely correct. But here it says doggy style, sex.
I think I perfected the technique.
Oh, sorry. This is I think.
Well, I know this is what I've got for my chicken. Nibbles your earlobe,
Wow.
and your flatulence is gone.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks.
I'll leave you to it, son.
Thanks, Dad.
You need to. No, you don't eat the chicken. On your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and
Well, there it is.
okay.
Wow.
No, it needs to.
Yeah.
If it doesn't nibble your earlobe, it's not going to work.
Oh, this is weird. Okay. Are you sure this is right, Colonel?
I thought it must work.
Okay.
I read the stars,
Oh, okay.
and the great chicken was
Yeah.
coming into Virgo.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sounds hot.
Well, it was a very warm night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Me and the boys were having a bath, and my astronomy club.
Yeah.
We've kind of decided to kind of mash it together, call it monology.
I like that. It's nice.
It's
Welcome to Monology Club. I think this the sun tonight is very, very dim. Clearly a problem with the sun.
If that's the case, I'm going to look directly at it.
What's it look like?
It's not quite dim, and it's burning.
Oh, good. That's very healthy. I'm sure that we will learn very much from this.
What is it exactly that we're learning?
Monology.
Monology.
Yes.
Right.
We are the frontiers of knowledge here. We are exploring the world and the skies above us.
Ugh, I can't look anymore at the skies above us. They hurt me.
The skies often hurt us all. This is why we need to learn more. Our souls are connected to those stars above. They direct our fate, and we need to learn how.
In my experience, the souls from down here are the ones that hurt me.
Those souls, they're made from those stars.
Oh, I thought I just heard a bird. No, I didn't. What did you say?
Oh, okay. No, those souls, our souls, they come from the stars above us.
Above us.
So we are nothing but puppets.
Nothing but puppets.
To
the world above.
You know what?
Yeah.
Arseholes. The world is full of arseholes. Everywhere you look.
Fucking everyone.
I know. What are we gonna do?
Go above us.
Go above us.
Shitting down on our
Shit.
heads.
Well, let's not use crude language.
Sorry.
Let's keep it, PG.
Alright.
Yeah.
Bum openings.
Well, no, he's arseholes.
What?
Our souls.
Oh.
Our souls. Like the fish. Souls.
Yes.
Arseholes.
Right. Our souls.
Yeah.
Fecal mattering all over us.
Have you had the chicken on your shoulder? Because that can get rid of that whole issue that you're having right now with language.
No.
No, I should.
Oh,
I should.
you recommend it?
Oh, definitely.
Where can one get this chicken on the shoulder?
You need to go see the Colonel.
Right.
And he will give you the chicken and some gravy and some sweet corn.
Okay. Do you make beans that are too hot for your tongue, or?
Oh, really? I always thought they were too cold for your mouth.
Do you want to know the origin of man?
Can you just give me your order, please? KFC. That's great.
Janine, is it?
Yes, my name's Janine. What can I get you? Would you like a bucket or a box?
I'd like to go on a date with Janine.
Alright, I'd like to hear that a little bit less than the other proposal. So why don't you tell me about the origin of man?
Apparently man used to have 4 arms and 4 legs.
I can get you a bucket with 2 legs and 2 wings.
Do you want to hear my story or not? Or do you want to go out on a date with me?
Go on. You can't be back here. I don't even know your name. I don't even know your name, is what I said.
I was giving you a dramatic romantic pause.
I'm sorry. I'm not one for romance.
My name is Jude.
She's gone to a better place. Where is that? The Colonel knows. It was one earlobe too many. Oh no. Oh no. And she hadn't peed for 3 weeks.
Who did that? Who tied her off?
We only found the post-it notes. Were they written in green?
I've seen this before. Yes, I remember. I think. They were written in green, as if it was the left hand, and as if they were looking through translucent glass.
I have no idea. I only saw post-it notes scattered everywhere, like confetti around the carcass. And the poor creature's breast had been removed and lightly battered with some secret mix of herbs.
Okay, all right. Enough about the origins of man already. You can give me your number. I only have this blue pen.
Don't worry. I have a green pen.
All right, go
Bam,
on.
bam, bam!
I'll go on a date with you.
Don't listen to it.
No, not you. You.
Excuse me. This is an establishment of chicken, not of dating. Okay? You shouldn't even be bringing that beer in here, okay? Now, I'm Janine and I work here. And his name is...
Jude.
Hey, Jude.
Jude.
Colonel.
Colonel Jude Serenus. Strange name.
It's my father's.
And his father's before him?
Yep, didn't pick it, just got it.
Does it date all the way back to Greece?
Well, Colonel, I must admire your hiring practices. You've got post-grad students working on the drive-through. How would you know that Serenus was a Greek name from ancient times?
We only pick the best.
That's the Colonel's motto. I know.
Always.
But I need
Always.
to raise an issue with you, Colonel.
Go on.
I overheard a member of your staff saying that they were a monologist.
Is that someone who monologues?
In fact, it is.
Then I would straight out of questions about monologists.
The issue we have, Colonel, is that members of the monology cult are not permitted to discuss monology.
So how do you know what it is?
They are supposed to talk when they're being overheard, as if it was some weird occult practice.
Have you been spying on my employees?
No, it just ether spoke to me. We have ears everywhere, Colonel. The first rule of monology cults is never to discuss monology cults.
That sounds like you've taken that from somewhere. That doesn't sound like an original thought.
It began with Galen and moved from there.
The small Jewish boy down the street.
Flashback to Galen.
Hey, it's me, Galen.
Hey, Galen.
I just came from Torah study.
God.
What's
So
up?
sweaty.
Yeah,
God, you're such a sweaty small man.
yeah.
God. God, you're like dripping sweat, Galen.
It's really hot.
Yeah. Maybe you should take a shower. Oh look, I'm wet too.
I was reading today in the Torah that a man should be showering by himself. It didn't say that specifically, but that's what I inferred from it.
You should shower with another man.
Like my dad?
Maybe not your dad. I was thinking maybe me.
Huh. Is this something that Galen would do? I mean, I'm really not even sure who or what the fuck Galen is. If someone can help me.
I have to admit, Lyle, I don't really see the relevance of this.
The demonology cult.
Yes.
It was established by Galen Soranus.
Galen
He
Soranus.
inducted small men and boys from around the neighborhood into the cult. They were never to talk about what they did in public.
Lyle, you know how people who were butchers got the surname Butcher? And you know how people who were farmers got the surname Farmer? How
Yes.
did Galen get his surname?
The Serenus family reunion. Oh, hey guys.
Right, yeah, rainbow this, right? We thought we had a pocket, we don't.
We're an interesting bunch.
Why have you done that story for 10 years?
You know what our great-grandfather Galen would have said?
But slightly more racist.
That's probably true.
Did he not compare the moon to a black man once?
Not that I recall. You guys fancy the KFC?
I like that fascinating insight into the Soranus family.
I know. Generations of eating cooked chicken with no fiber. That's how it happened.
I see. That's a lesson for us all.
So that's why I come proposing that you add beans and coleslaw to the menu. What do you think, Colonel?
Can I make the beans so devastatingly hot you can't eat them even after you get home?
Provided you make the coleslaw so cold, you get brain freeze when you eat it.
Oh, I like the sound of that, Lyle. You're a genius.
We should make millions.
Ah, yes.
What about the vegans?
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, thanks.
What are we protesting again today? Oh, KFC.
Yeah. Should we shout things at the same time?
Yeah, did you prepare any chants?
I prefer, like, you know, we could, like, sing at them.
No.
Or.
Fuck you, Colonel!
They're laughing at us.
I think what he said was good.
Okay, fuck
Fuck you, Colonel.
fuck you,
No,
Colonel.
but let's get it like to a beat.
What do we want?
Fuck you, Colonel!
Fuck you, Colonel! Fuck you, Colonel, you little fucking shit! Everyone knows that you ain't the bit. Oh my god, it's gonna go this way, cause everyone knows that you're fucking gay. The gay or sore ass area in your name, but everyone knows your chicken's fucking lame. We're vegans!
Yeah!
We're here to stay! We don't like chicken anyway! We're
Fuck
vegan!
you, Colonel!
We like to stay! We ain't like no chicken anyway!
Fuck you,
Vegans!
Colonel!
Vegans! I
No.
want. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I want to kick one.
Go on, you kick one.
Should I kick her
Yeah,
right?
you kick them right.
Okay. I think the helmet's up. Okay! Vegans! We're here to say, fuck you, Colonel. Anyway, oh, my mate said that already. I'm not too original. But I'm here to signal that you guys are wrong. This is bad. This food is not really rad. It's unhealthy.
Makes us sad. It makes us sad.
Guys, no one's listening. No.
They killed 7 chickens now.
They've killed a lot more than this. You can get a 7-piece meal, and each of those pieces come from 7 different chickens, and that's just one meal. Well, you know why we're here. It's because of the horrendous mistreatment of their animals.
That's a what?
You just did a really, really articulate rap. You're in trouble. You know what? I'm gonna.
I was in the zone.
You wanna go get some non-dairy ice cream?
God damn it, Lyle, they've got a rap about us now. How will we ever compete with our tasty blend of secret herbs and spices?
With a rap, we can fight their own game. Let's take their rhymes and throw them back at them.
Well, this has gone badly. I haven't slept for weeks.
You and me are nasty and nice. We don't tell what's in our spice. And those herbs, we keep a secret. If you like it, you will eat it.
Very good. Maybe we can't eat the chicken, but here's a secret that I'll let you in. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put rats in our stew. That's right, it's stew time now. How can they protest against stew somehow? This is not my forte.
On the inside of the KFC.
We have got no idea. Berries.
What are all those people outside doing?
Today.
You know what? I think they don't really understand how much joy we experience working inside the KFC.
Yeah.
They're out there protesting us, but we just want to have a good time, really. We're not about the unethical treatment of animals.
No.
We're just about finger-licking goodness.
Yeah, we break their necks and spew their guts all over the floor. That's normal.
Totally. And we're all post-grad students. who are
I
really
stomped my
smart.
chick's leg.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And?
She got up again.
Cool.
Really?
I think we should use some of those ancient Greek practices. We could get the dogs in to lick the food.
I like it.
To convey spiritual health and magical properties.
What do you think? So do we serve the dog?
No. So we have the station, we have the bun station, we have the coleslaw, the mayonnaise, the chicken patty, the lettuce, maybe the cheese and the zinger sauce, and then the dog licks it before it goes in the box. What do you think?
I like it, but maybe we take the dog, who has thankfully appeared because all dogs are in kitchens, and maybe the dog comes right over here. Yep. Maybe the dog licks the bun. Maybe the dog licks the mayonnaise.
You have me at buns.
Maybe the dog licks it at every step. That'll show those vegans.
But hold on, if the dog is happy, the vegans are happy.
Exactly. How can they complain if we stop the dog? Oh. Yep.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, just found this. It's the plot of this show. We lost it over in KFC. Somewhere. Do you want to give me a hand? Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll write a green pen with a squinty eye.
Oh, yeah! Cool.
I think I was mentioned, and then I appeared.
We're quite the same,
We're the same.
We're the same character.
Just a different nationality.
Okay.
see the problem.
Oh, what's that?
Someone tied.
Oh. See, we've had this big build-up of piss. And now we're here.
I don't think you realise how serious it is. Some of the piss actually got out during
What?
the show. It's the flatus is trapped.
Oh
There's
my
a
god.
big fart balloon in there.
It could be worse. We could be showing this right now in front of a live audience and being fit.